Here on TV3. It's a Wednesday morning, and hopefully by now you're up and about, had some Lipton tea, and you're waking up and feeling the sunshine. Let's not forget that this health segment is brought to you by Lipton Tea, inspiration flowing from nature. And as usual on the health segment, I have my buddy with me, Dr. Boate. We seem to be getting along pretty well on the health segment, don't we? Yeah.
That's right.
I think I'm going to start doing some consulting at your clinic very soon because my health knowledge is vast. Today we're going to be talking about vitiligo, and we just showed you some images on your screen about some people who actually have the ailment of vitiligo. Doc, what is vitiligo?
Yeah, vitiligo. It's a very distressing condition that people just all of a sudden develop, and it's a skin condition where you have a person's normal pigmentation of the skin at certain parts of their body just begin to, in quotes, vanish.
Disappear.
It disappear. I mean, you are black, you are brown colored, you are chocolate colored, and all of a sudden you are not seeing, it's not like you are bleaching or anything, but then you realize that the place is becoming white. Not even like a toning down, but rather all the pigments in the skin are just vanishing. And it's sometimes sporadic, different parts of the body. Sometimes it's focal, one side, sometimes both sides of the body, and just spreads just like that. So that is what happens to people who develop vitiligo.
Okay. What has it got to do with melanin?
Yes, melanin. Melanin is a pigment in our bodies that actually gives pigmentation to our skin. So
that's what classes us as being black, being brown. It means that your melanin has more pronounced pigment than somebody who is from Asia. They are more like yellow, oriental. Yeah, exactly.
The Europeans are more whitish. The Americans are more like red. Kind of. So everybody has melanin, and the amount of it depicts the kind of pigmentation your skin is going to have. So we have darker melanin, and that makes us black or maybe chocolate colored. Now, so everybody has melanin, and those who naturally don't have are those we call the albinos. They have that kind of problem where the skin doesn't have the pigmentation at all. But everybody who has this, and all of a sudden realize that, like I say, vitiligo. For me, that's for me. Vit is a French word. Quick. Ill. You fall sick. You have an illness. You see. And the thing doesn't go. So quickly, you realize that you have an illness, and your eye sees it and it doesn't go. And people get distressed. They get depressed. They get agitated, and they just don't understand what is going on. And so they come to the hospital for help. Now, we have a difficulty to explain why it happens to people when they've been fine all the while. But then it's postulated that autoimmune conditions probably can be the mediating factor, that somebody's own body's immune system begins to eat up the melanocytes. Melanocytes are the cells that
carry the melanin,
that produce your melanin. So at certain parts in your body, your own immune system begins to eat up these cells. Now, compare that to bleaching. People who bleach are applying things on their body to sort of
take away the thin layer of skin.
It thins the skin surface, makes it look lighter, yet the melanin is still there. The melanocytes are still there, so that even when they stop, it begins to darken again. So it means that bleaching will have to be an effort, continuous, and then it eventually destroys you anyway. But in this case, at that part of the skin, if a sample of the skin is taken to the lab to be viewed under a microscope or something, you wouldn't see any of the melanocytes at all. The cells that produce melanin are just not there anymore. Meanwhile, they were there before.
Okay. So what causes vitiligo? Like he said, autoimmune.
Autoimmune. I mean, besides that, it's been known that, or it's been related to people who have other forms of autoimmune conditions. We recently spoke about autoimmune diseases like thyrotoxicosis. People have thyroid problems, and which are the autoimmune type. The Hashimoto's, also thyroiditis, is also autoimmune. Or somebody may have what we call the adrenocortical insufficiency. Let me break it down.
Please.
When you have a lot of cortisol in your system, that is a steroid. Steroids are able to slow down immune reactions.
Yes.
So when somebody is having a certain condition that we think is immune mediated, sometimes we are giving steroids to slow it down.
Yeah.
So we think that possibly somebody who may be having adrenocortical insufficiency may not be forming enough of these corticosteroids in the system to mellow down the immune reactions. So that may be
give them a steroid,
to slow it down so it doesn't happen. And also it's also been related to people who have, alopecia.
Yes.
Yeah, people who have baldness, and they also may develop that, but then it's not much of them, not a high percentage of them do develop that. Other things that have been related to strangely is lack of vitamin B12. So people who have pernicious anemia are also known to may fall prey to that. Right. So these are some of the associations. Be it genetic or inherited, it's postulated again that there is some 3 genes that if a person should have, these genes could be the cause of the person having the vitiligo. And then for those, whether it's inherited or not, we realize that even if a mother should have or a father should have, children do not get it.
Yeah.
Maybe 1 or 2. If you take 100 parents who have vitiligo, maybe just 5 of them, they have their kids also having it.
Okay, so very low.
Yeah, very low.
Yeah.
If it's about the family inheritance, well, somebody who may have it could also have a family member who has it. But it is not really that much of hereditary kind of thing.
Now, from the images that we saw a few people that have been affected, on different parts of their body. But then you did see that there were some points where the original skin pigmentation was still there. Now, in the likes of, exactly similar to this that we've got on the screen at the moment. Now, the most famous case of vitiligo, which we heard in our recent times, was Michael Jackson. Now, Michael Jackson, so far as I remember, was the same complexion from head to toe. Not that, we saw him fully bare himself. But his hands, his face were all of the same pigmentation. Can vitiligo affect you completely?
It's strange. In the case of Michael Jackson, we never saw this kind of pictures developing.
No.
All of a sudden, the guy just goes white. And, I mean, like being more Catholic than the Pope, he became whiter than the white.
Well, he sang a song, Black and White. So
right.
I think he was just telling us the transition. But.
So he became more white, and that's what we call him. If it is really vitiligo, I mean, you and I were not there, Benny.
Yeah.
My Lord, we are now not there. But he says it's a skin condition. In that case, if it is, then we'll call it vitiligo universalis.
Universally.
Body. But you see, as you've seen from the pictures, it's sporadic. Different points of the body later on may coalesce. Sometimes it doesn't even spread. So in rare cases, you may have that kind of universalis thing. I mean, it needs to be proven in the lab. If the skin is taken and realized that really all the melanocytes are gone, are not there, then we can say that we had an autoimmune disease that actually chewed away all its melanocytes.
Okay.
But
treatment, how do we deal with that? Can it be cured?
It's difficult. It's difficult to handle vitiligo. Sometimes just giving reassurance, but there are other forms that can be looked at. Topical steroids, for example, we've mentioned the fact that these people sometimes they don't have enough steroids to.
Okay, sorry, I just didn't mean to cut you off, but apparently this is a picture of somebody that's actually been treated. So on the left side would have been before,
right,
and then after, once the treatment's taken place.
So for the treatment, we have topical steroids that are given to the person to apply.
Creams,
lotions, to apply over the place, and maybe once or twice or thrice a week. You don't apply steroids too continuously. That can have some deleterious effects on you. So it's giving about 2-3 times a week, and it continues for months. Sometimes you have to be on treatment for about 1.5 years, and that can cause the repigmentation to come back. That is the safest form. In terms of side effect, the steroids are the best way to go. Yet, not everybody gets results.
Right.
If, for example, you have it spread all over the body, I mean, can you imagine applying these creams all over the body? The other form of management is, in terms of medication, is what we call the PUVA, Psorialine Ultraviolet A. We have ultraviolet light. They have A and B. In the case of the PUVA, what I mean, there's a drug called Soralin. They have the oral one and then the applied topical one.
Okay.
So in that case, usually it's done under supervision.
Right.
The doctor will apply it at the spots where the vitiligo is, and then that unique light, that specific ultraviolet is exposed onto the skin for a certain period of time,
right.
and then maybe repeated twice or 3 times in a week, and it goes on and off, and gradually helps the pigmentation to come back.
Okay.
So these are some of the medical ways of looking at it. If all these things don't work, then probably they will look at surgical. Surgical means that, well, I mean, you have darker skin elsewhere on your body, so
grafting.
they will do grafting.
Wow.
They have to go and take skin from, and it's because people's problem is the cosmetic effect on their bodies.
Right.
You know, you lose your self-confidence. You feel everybody is looking at you. I mean, that kind of thing. So sometimes you would want to take, if it's not that widespread, you want to take skin from probably your back or your buttocks, and then graft it over the place. And then sometimes it helps to reduce the extent of the damage.
Okay. You mentioned UV light, and I know in people albinos usually tend to stay away from sunlight because of the effects on their skin and themselves. Is it the same with vitiligo, or do you actually consciously advise people to absorb direct sunlight?
You would realize that with vitiligo, again, the parts that are usually affected are the sun exposed parts.
Right.
So usually the hands, the neck, the face.
Okay.
Hardly do you get it maybe on your back or on your torso. Sometimes but usually on the extremities. So even when they are managing it with the Pruva and all these corticosteroids, you are asked to be careful to getting into sunlight.
Right.
You regulate the amount of exposure to sunlight.
Okay.
That is why even though you are giving the oral or the topical Soralin, you are not told that just go and stand in hot sunlight and then let the ultraviolet of the sunlight do the work. It specifically ultraviolet A is the one that is used. So you have a light of specific wavelength and frequency that is used for that purpose.
Okay. You mentioned also about the self-esteem and the confidence of the person that actually has vitiligo. Becoming quite low, because obviously it affects them externally,
especially the women.
I can imagine. Is there any truth to the fact that it could be contagious? Because human nature. We see somebody that has something, all of a sudden we don't want to touch it because we think we might get it.
It is not contagious. I can touch anybody who has vitiligo. I won't get it.
Okay.
It's not contagious, like from person to person. No.
Okay. Now
another way you can look at it. Some people, people will do anything sometimes. If it's not extensive, another way of looking apart from the surgical would be probably to do some tattooing. Tattooing can also be done to
cover those. And that's actually a good cosmetic option,
it's a cosmetic way of looking at it. Tattoo the place, and because it may never go.
That's right.
So you can just do tattooing, or for those who have can do good makeups and good to mask the place or camouflage it. That can also be done.
Do that as well. Okay. Now let's talk about some of the other side effects of vitiligo. For instance, can the actual ailment of vitiligo lead to anything else? Can it lead to skin cancer?
Well, skin cancer to happen, first thing you call it melanoma. Melanin must be present, and then the melanocyte must be there.
Right.
So in the case of vitiligo, it's rare rather for somebody with vitiligo to have skin cancer on the side of the body because the melanin is not there. And in the same way, if you have a white person or a fairer skinned person, it's easier for the person to notice skin cancer on them than with the blacks. Right. Because skin cancer may start and you see some maybe change in increased pigmentation, hyperpigmentation on yourself. As compared to black person, you might think, oh, is this my black skin? Yet it could be skin cancer. So that is how it goes.
Okay. What's your advice to anybody who has or has seen vitiligo appearing on themselves or a loved one in their family? Yeah,
so as we've discussed, if you have such a thing, just talk to your doctor, and there are modes of preparing you for it, modes of treating it. You'll be given the reassurance that it will take time. Everything will be explained to you, and then we decide on which one can be done for you. If it's about the cosmetic aspect of it, I mean, probably we'll let the cosmetologist also see you.
Yeah.
And then if there's any help, we can do the medical part, the surgical part, but the cosmetology aspect of it is also important. And then again, sometimes maybe you need a psychologist to help with your self-confidence and be able to say, well, this is me. I mean, take me as I am.
Yeah. Okay, last question. I know we mentioned about it being hereditary, and that's very minimal. But in regards to pregnancy, if a woman is pregnant, is the baby susceptible to having vitiligo? But it's the same hereditary trait, isn't it?
Yeah, as I said, it's not that much transferable from parents to children.
Yeah,
it's not that much transferable. Again, we can always look at things about effect of vitiligo on pregnancy and effect of pregnancy on vitiligo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Horse before the cart.
Yeah.
All right, I want to say a big thank you for coming in once again, Dr. Bote, and assisting with our health segment, which has been brought to you by Lipton Tea, inspiration flowing from nature. We do have more coming up in just a few moments, so stay with us, don't go anywhere.